This is all new to me, dude. I'm a newbie. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be trying out some DTF transfers for the first time. So shout out to Ninja Transfers. They were nice enough to send me my own customized gang sheet. The gang sheet was 22 inches by 10 feet, so it was huge. The possibilities were endless. I honestly had no idea what I wanted to put on there because it's huge. I wanted to have options. So I ended up with about 6 designs and I did doubles of all of them and then multiples of some of them. And then of course I wanted to fill up the whole space since it was huge. So I did do like multiples of my little labels that I do whenever I sell like a shirt or make shirts for like friends or family. So it's to put on the back. I ended up filling all the extra spaces with that just to fill it up and not have any blank spaces. And then keep in mind, I had no idea, but they do not accept SVG files. I did, out of all the designs that I did, most of them were, well, pretty much all of them were PNG files. And then I did one design that was an SVG. And then once my gang sheet arrived, I was like, wait, there's a blank spot. You see that? It's blank. I was like, was I smart enough to leave that space blank and like not take advantage of it? And then I was like, I remember putting a design on there and sure enough, that was a one SVG that I had used and look how it came up. It was blank. So keep in mind, if you order from them, they don't accept SVGs. I'm so glad I only did one and luckily it was a simple design, so I'm like, it is what it is. Honestly, when I first saw them, I was in awe with how bright the colors were. I'm just so used to working with HTV, and you know with HTV, you're kind of limited to what it is that you can do because to get an actual image with a lot going on, you obviously have to do like a ton of layers. Like with these, you can have like 20 different colors without layering. So they were just super bright and I was just super impressed. I'm like, damn, this is pretty much the first time that I actually worked with like a full color besides like previous iron-on transfer papers, but that's a totally different thing than these. So I was super excited to try these out since I've never worked with anything like this before. So that's exactly what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to be pressing 6 different transfers on 4 different materials. So I'm going to be pressing these onto a tote, a sweatshirt, a long sleeve, the sleeve included, a t-shirt, and then the inside of a t-shirt as like the little label. And I'm also going to be giving these a wash test, so we'll see how these react to being washed. So besides all of that, if you're not familiar with DTF, honestly I wasn't until a few months ago. All of this is fairly new to me, so if I do something wrong, if I say something wrong, this is all new to me, dude. I'm a newbie. So here you're watching somebody who's never tried this before doing it for the first time. So I'm going to be doing it for the first time on camera. So you may see some fails here and there, we'll see, but yeah, it's my first time. I'm no expert. So DTF, which stands for direct to film, is pretty much a transfer that's printed on a special type of film. So first the full color is printed on and then it prints a full layer of just white ink over everything, and then after that you have to put some DTF powder over it, and then that has to be cured under heat, and then I guess the powder melts and that becomes adhesive. And not just anyone can do it, you need actual legit equipment to do this. You can't just do this from like your inkjet printer at home, you know. You need an actual DTF printer, you need to cure it a certain way with certain heat. It's not just like easy to do, you know. So I'm glad that there's places like Ninja Transfers that just does it for you, you know. Takes away the whole headache of having to like do it from start to finish, you know. And here they are. So I'm definitely super excited to try these out. Like I mentioned, it is my first time, so be nice. So if you're curious to see how these DTF transfers worked out for me and how they washed, then let's get started. Before getting started with the pressing, I did want to show you some of these transfers up close. So here we have one of them. As you can see, the colors are super bright and opaque. And in the back of all of them, it has like the white. And the white has some sort of like texture going on. It's not completely flat, but I think that's just like the ink because all of them are like that. But since it has the white, I feel like that's what makes the colors pop. But it's just so interesting to see how saturated these colors are, which I really, really like. So here we have some other ones. You see, it has so much going on, yet all the colors stand out. Then we have here one that's white. And then this design right here, it does have some like distress going on, like it's part of the design. And the printing of this, it still shows that distress, which I really like. So here in this one, you can really see the colors. This one as well has a little distress going on, and the printing of it does show the distress, so that's cool. As you can see, this one is white as well. So I just love how bright and in your face the colors are. I just think it looks so cool. And then this one as well. This one is like straight up neon colors, and as you can see, they're pretty neon as well. Not as neon as they were on camera, but still very, very bright. So I like that. And then this transfer right here, I'm using these as labels. These I did print them as like a very light gray, but here I'm not sure if you can tell, they're kind of looking like a very off-white. I was hoping for these to be gray, but we shall see once I press it on the shirt to see what color it actually is. So now that I've shown you these, let's get started with the pressing. Now the instructions for these say you don't need to pre-press your material, but force the habit, I'm gonna do it anyway just because I'm so used to it. So I'm starting off with this tote right here, and I'm gonna be putting this transfer on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try and center it. So the press time for these are 310 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds with medium pressure. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And keep in mind, my heat press does have a Teflon cover on it. So for these, it says to peel once it's cooled to the touch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my cooling block to speed up the process. So now that it's cool, let's see. And they say to pay attention to the transfer. Can you see it's lifted? I guess it's not. I guess I didn't press it enough. So I think I'm gonna lower the pressure. Let's try this again. And they say that these transfers don't burn, so don't be scared to pre-press it because nothing's gonna happen to it. Now we let it cool some more. Let me just see. It's that little corner that's just not sticking. What's going on? Okay, this one is, that little corner is the one that's like playing with me. So let's just do this way. Let me just let it chill a little bit more. Keep in mind, this is my first time trying DTF, so don't judge me. Let's try it again. Okay, now it is. Oh look, I wanted to show you something. Do you see, I hope you can tell on camera, there's some little like purple specks right there. Some design that wasn't on my original design, but when I lift it, it's not there. It's on the transfer, which I like, so that's good to see. So let's just go ahead and peel it and see those little specks are just peeling right off. There we have it. So far it is looking pretty matte, but the instructions say to go over it again with the parchment paper that they provided. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna place it over and then press it once again. Now let's see, moment of truth. Voila. Look how cute this looks. I wanna see how it feels. Oh wow. I don't know why I thought it was gonna be like thick. But these right here actually feel like they're a part of the tote itself. Oh, I like how it feels because you can't feel anything. You know with HTV you would run your fingers through it and you can feel it? This one you can't. Oh wow, how nice. This one, since it's a little thicker and more of like a bigger image, you could feel it, but this is so cool. I like it. So with this one, I don't know if you saw it before I pressed it, it did have a little fold here, and I could see that there's a little fold there. So that's why I was glad that I did a pre-press, because you just never know, you know? So this one kind of did, I guess, press with the fold, you know? So keep that in mind for the future. Either way, I'm gonna always pre-press. But so far, so good. I love how this one turned out, so let's continue with other materials. Next, we have this sweatshirt. I already went ahead and pre-pressed it, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and add my t-shirt ruler, and I'm gonna make this design 3 inches below the neckline. Next, we have this design right here. I'm not even sure if you could actually fold these or not. So to find the center, I just folded it inwards and then just kind of folded the corner a little bit just to get an idea, you know? Don't just full on fold the transfer because you just never know. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in the center. And I'm gonna get rid of my ruler. Now let's go ahead and press it. Same time, 15 seconds at 310 degrees. And for this one, I did give it a little bit of more pressure. I learned from the previous one, so I just gave it a little bit of more pressure. Once again, I'm gonna let it cool. All right, now let's see. Okay, so far so good. Okay, this one gave me less struggle than the previous one. So let's go in with the parchment paper. And once again, we're gonna do it for another 15 seconds. Look how cute that is. Oh my god, I love it. So this one has a black border around it, but as you could see, the transfer kind of gave it like a white shadow around it, kind of like a white faded shadow, which I kind of like because it kind of makes it stand out more. But maybe that was the PNG itself, because look, the wording doesn't even have it, and it's black outline as well, so who knows. But this one actually feels nice as well. I'm telling you, these are not thick at all. It just kind of feels like it's a part of the garment, which I really, really like. And you can kind of feel it on the inside as well, but it's nothing heavy or anything. So this is kind of cool. I'm excited. This feels very nice. So I don't think this is gonna feel as thick as HTV does when you're wearing it, you know? Like with HTV, when your image is kind of big, you can kind of feel it when you're wearing it. So with this one, I feel like you're not gonna be able to feel it. So I like that. 2 for 2, dude. I'm really liking these. Next, I'm gonna do this long sleeve right here, and I only put it 2 inches below the neckline since this is a big graphic. So let's go ahead and put it. And first I'm gonna center it, and then I'm just gonna move the shirt up. And with these transfers, I noticed you kind of have to be careful because you know how HTV carrier sheet is sticky? These aren't. So even though this is flat, it's going to stay in place, but sometimes you need to be careful. You can't just like really move it around. So let me just make sure it's centered. And then I'm going to move it and then carefully bring it up. And this graphic is barely going to fit the heat press. So I hope this is good enough. Now let's press for the same amount of time. It's not getting the whole thing. Let me just feel if it got it. Fingers crossed, I think it did. Alright, let's go ahead and try it. So this little section didn't do it, but I think we could kind of come back for it. So let's start from this edge. Yeah, the end didn't want to press. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just press that. And I just did a little bit. Now that I let it cool, let's try once again. This end is playing me. Oh my god. I think I'm gonna have to start from the top. Let's see. Much better. Yep, that little end. Those ends wanted to play me. Okay, see, these feel a little bit more thicker. And you know what's funny? As you saw, this piece got lifted before pre-pressing it, and the section feels soft to the touch. But these parts right here that weren't lifted off the film still feel like shinier, you know, like there's some shininess to it. So this is a perfect example of what that parchment paper does, because this feels softer and this feels more rough. Not thicker, but like you can feel that something is there. So we shall see after I press it with the parchment if it still feels like that. So let's go ahead and do that. Moment of truth, let's see how these feel. Damn, they're hot. I need to let them cool, but they definitely don't feel as shiny as they did before. Yeah, they definitely feel like they're a part of the garment now. They don't really feel like, you can't really feel that there's something there. So if you're working with these, I would suggest 100% use a parchment paper. I feel like it makes a difference. And I just love the way it looks. It's just like true to what the computer shows, you know? Look how cute. I love it. So besides doing the front graphic, I want to do a sleeve graphic as well. I'm going to put it on the left arm right here. So for this, I think I'm going to need to use a pressing pillow because you know the seam is gonna get in the way. So let me just go ahead and do that, pre-press and do all of that. Now to figure out the middle. Oh my god, you know what I just realized? I didn't even use a lint roller on none of my items. I mean, the instructions didn't say, but for the most part I feel like you have to use it. Once again, force a habit, but I didn't use it this time, oh well. But be mindful of that. Now here is the graphic that I'm gonna use. And I can't even tell if it's centered or not. So I'm gonna go based off of that line right there. And these tend to fit me big from the cuff. So I think I might lift it a little bit even though it's not centered. That's fine. I think this is as good as it's gonna get, so I'm just gonna go ahead and press it. Now let's peel. Okay, this one was definitely easier. Now let's finish it off with the parchment paper. Now let me remove the pressing pillow. I hope it's straight. Honestly, I'm not even sure if it is or not, but whatever. It is what it is. Look how cute. And you know what? I think it is straight. So far, I'm loving these transfers. They've worked really well with the actual heat press. Now the real test is gonna be with the Cricut Easy Press, so let's go ahead and go do that. Now let's go ahead and put the design. I'm gonna put it about 1 inch under the neckline. Now for the Cricut, since these do tend to give less pressure than a big heat press, the heat settings are a little different. So for the Cricut, it's gonna be 320 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 seconds and you need a lot of pressure. So instead of using a Teflon sheet, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the same parchment paper. And now I'm gonna give it a lot of pressure. Now of course, we let it cool. Now let's go ahead and peel. Okay, so that corner is definitely not ready. This one either. Let me just let it cool a little bit more. Maybe I should press it more. Let me just press it more. Alright, let's try it again. Okay, now it did it. Oh, damn it, I ripped it. There you go. Luckily, you can't tell. Did I rip it? I don't even know, but let's go ahead and do the parchment paper over it. So it definitely doesn't look like I ripped it, so thank God for that. I'm just gonna let it cool before I actually go in and touch it. I'm glad I didn't full on like go ahead and peel it and then just have it rip, you know? So this one for sure, I feel like it definitely has to cool down, especially with the Cricut, because that one, as you could tell, if it doesn't get enough pressure, it's not gonna actually press onto the garment, you know? So this one also feels like it's a part of the garment, which I really like. Now, another thing that I do want to press onto this shirt is my label right here. So this, like I mentioned earlier, is supposed to be gray. So we shall see. I'm gonna put it inside the shirt. Let me just go ahead and turn it inside out. And for this one, I'm gonna be using a mini heat press just to change things up, you know? You know what? Let me zoom you in. So I'm gonna put this right under the back of the neckline inside. And then I'm gonna put the parchment paper over it. So this press right here, it doesn't have any normal heat setting, so I just went with medium. So hopefully medium is good enough. So let's go ahead and try. So far it did it. And there you have it, it did do it. So as you can see, this is not a light gray, it's a white. Maybe I should have gone like a little darker gray, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and press it with the parchment. So this one, since it's such a small graphic, like this one for sure you can't even feel at all, especially those thin lines. It doesn't even feel like there's anything there. So there we have my little label and then this little design right here. So far, so good. I'm loving how all of these transfers came out. Now let me just go ahead and show you the other designs up close just so you could take a look. Here it is, if you're a bird, I'm a bird. What I really like about this one is that purpley shadow that it had around the blue is gone. I guess it was just part of the transfer, but I really like that it wasn't on there. And maybe I feel like the printer kind of picked it up because this right here, the blue part on the PNG was a transparent background. Like it was kind of see-through. It wasn't completely opaque like these were. So maybe that's why I picked it up like that. But I like that once you transfer it, it's not on there. And then I really like the black because I feel like the black is what looks the most like if it's actually part of the toe. It just blends in really well. Just like the color of it isn't as harsh. It like doesn't really stand out and it just feels like it's like a part of the toe, dude. I don't know how to explain it. I just really like it. Then we have Christmas calories. This one, if you look at it up close, it does have a really cartoonish look to it. I mean, it is a cartoon, but still, like if you really pay attention to the solids, it kind of has like something going on. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like completely flat like an HTV would be, you know? But I kind of feel like maybe that gives it some dimension because it's not completely flat. So I kind of like that. And then like I previously mentioned, the black outline does have some sort of like white shadow going on in the background. I'm not exactly sure if that happens with everything that's black because sometimes you don't really want your black design to have white around it. I think has to be my favorite because the way it's distressed, I just love the way the transfer picked it up. It just makes it look even cooler. You would not have been able to do this with HTV because look at all the colors going on, look at all the shapes, look at all the shadows, just everything going on. This is so cool. The fact that this design was distressed and you can see it with the transfer is so cool. I love it. And the way it looks with the tie-dye, oh my god, in love. This one for sure is my favorite. And then the sleeve as well. This one does not feel like it's on there. The distress even got picked up in this one. That little blue outline has some distress going on and it even stands out even though it's a thin line. I really like that. So far all the transfers worked out. I'm so glad they did. No fails whatsoever. But now the real test is going to be washing them. So the instructions for these say to turn them inside out and wash them on cold. That's for both the heat press and the Cricut. Now for the drying part, that is a little bit different. So if you press these using a heat press, you can go ahead and put these in the dryer at a low setting or just hang to dry. But if you press these using a Cricut, they say they recommend just to hang to dry, like don't throw it into the dryer. With all my shirts, I always hang to dry. So that's exactly what I'm going to do with all of these. So just like HTV, with DTF, you have to wait 24 hours before throwing it into the wash. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then we're going to come back to see if these survived or not. And here they are after they've been washed and air dried. Starting off with the tie-dye one. This one, feeling it, everything definitely feels like it's still adhered to the shirt. None of the edges are lifting, none of that. So far so good. Let's see the sleeve. The sleeve as well definitely feels like it's a part of the garment. No curling up or anything. So far this one passed. Next we have the sweatshirt. This is another one that everything is still on there. No lifting, no peeling, none of that. But I will say the transfer did fold when it was washed. I don't know if you could tell, but it folded right there, and the transfer does have some sort of crease going on. I'm wondering if it'll even out if I were to press it again. I'm not exactly sure, but there is a little fold right there. And then I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but this section right here, the pozole right there, it has a little bit of texture going on. I don't know if it has to do with the sweatshirt itself, because like I stated, I forgot to use a lint roller in this, so maybe there's some lint caught up right there. But also this sweatshirt does tend to have those little like lints that stick to it, you know what I'm saying? So it's not gonna always be a completely flat surface. So there's definitely some sort of little texture going on right there. You can't even tell unless you're like really all up in there taking a look. But for the most part, this transfer survived the wash. Next we have this t-shirt right here. So once again, this transfer is still adhered to the shirt, but this little corner right here is lifting a little bit. Let me see if you could see. So this little edge right there is sticking out. And what's funny is that this is the little part that I thought I ripped off when I went to peel. So I don't know if that had something to do with it, but sure enough, that little corner right there is hanging out. It's like barely hanging out. It's not like full on wanting to come off, but it's definitely lifted right there. I'm thinking about pressing it again just to see what's up. So for this one, I would have to say it's 95% still on there. Then we have this little guy right here, the little label. This one, it's little, but everything is still on there. No lifting, none of that. This doesn't even feel like there's anything on the shirt, dude, honestly. It just feels so lightweight. Doesn't even feel like there's anything there. Last but not least, we have the toe. And for this one, I zoomed you in just so you could see. So this one, although it did survive, there's no lifting, no peeling, none of that. For some reason, it caused a texture. I hope the camera's picking it up, but it's some like bubbly texture going on throughout the whole thing. Not just this big piece right here, even the wording has it. So the wording definitely is not as bad as this, but it's still happening. And I honestly have no idea why, because of none of the other transfers that happened to it. It's just this one, and this one was washed and dried just like the rest, so I have no idea what caused it. And this was the one that I wanted to throw into the dryer just to see how it reacted, but definitely I was not gonna do that after seeing the way it came out of the wash. I was like, no, I'm not gonna make it even worse, you know, so I just let it air dry. But yeah, this is how it is. So it's kind of funny that there's absolutely no peeling, but it's bubbly. It's kind of like if it shrunk, and this type of fabric doesn't even stretch, so I have no idea why that happened. I kind of want to go back and repress it just to see what happens. Like, what's the worst that can happen? It's already textured. So with that said, 5 out of the 6 transfers survived the wash. And here they are once again. Honestly, I'm very pleased with the way these DTF transfers ended up working out. I love how there's no layering. You don't have to worry about that. The color possibilities are endless because it's an actual image that's being printed out. I love the way it feels. It's definitely very soft. I will say this one right here is a DTF. Feels very soft to the touch. I think this one right here, the one that I'm wearing, I'm assuming, I still don't know. I don't even know the differences, but I do believe this is a DTG, a direct to garment, because this one does feel thick and it does look like it's ink. Jack and Rose Forever, whatever, but yeah, I think this is a DTG, but this one right here definitely feels very thicker, much thicker than these right here. So I love how lightweight they are. They're not noisy, they're not flimsy, they just blend into the fabric. So I really like that. These particular transfers, I believe, are compatible with any type of heat press, but I have heard in the past that DTF isn't really recommended to use with a Cricut Easy Press, and now I can understand why, because after washing it, as you saw, this one did lift a little bit, and it's funny because it's lifting in the section that, as I was pulling, pulled off. So maybe I didn't give this one enough pressure because that's the only little section that's like lifted. Everything else still feels like it's on there. So I don't know if in the future I'm going to continue to use these transfers with the Cricut Easy Press, because I just don't want to have to worry about it lifting, you know. I'm just always going to reach for the big heat press. And it's funny how the little tiny heat press actually beat out the Cricut Easy Press, because this one right here, everything is on there. Usually when you press something that is super small, that tends to lift because it's so thin, you know. All of this still feels like it's on there. So the little mini heat press that is an unknown brand beat out this one right here. So that's kind of crazy. I think it definitely depends on the amount of pressure that you use. I know I pushed this one down a lot because I really wanted it to get on there, because I knew I wasn't using a big heat press. So in the future, if I do decide to use a Cricut Easy Press with the transfers, I'm just going to go ahead and put my whole weight onto it because it definitely needs it. But it's still going strong. We shall see how it continues. I still love this shirt. I think it looks so cute. Feels like it's a part of the fabric. I just think it looks nice. I'm gonna maybe try to repress it, but use the big heat press just to see what happens. I decided to do the Cricut Easy Press just to test it out, you know, have different options. Then we have the sweatshirt. This one, as you saw, it does have some imperfections right there. And then as I mentioned, if it folds, I feel like that's one of the downsides. If the material folds, if the transfer folds, it kind of like folds with it. But I feel like maybe if you were to iron it again, it would just go back flat out. Because once this one got out of the washer, it was folded pretty much. It was like wrinkly, so I feel like that's what makes the image wrinkly, is because it's obviously it's not going to stay put because it's being wrinkled, you know. So besides those little imperfections that aren't really in your face, everything else still feels like it's on there. There's no lifting. It's just, it feels nice, and I really like this sweatshirt. I can't wait to wear it, especially for this season. Then we have the Disney one. Honestly, if for some reason this one had imperfections, you wouldn't be able to see because it has a whole distressed look to it. But this one seems fine. Everything is on there. No lifting, no little imperfections like the previous ones that I stated. It's just on there. Even the sleeve still going strong. I just love the way this one looks, and for sure the transfer just made it 10 times better. And then we have this little guy right here. I honestly don't know what happened. I love the design on it, and then those little bubbles just kind of like take away from it. So it's not lifting, as you could see, but it is bubbled up, and I honestly have no idea why, because this one was washed with the pink shirt, and the pink shirt stayed on pretty much except the little corner, but that probably has nothing to do with it. So I'm curious to see why this one, that happened to it. I did not throw this one into the dryer. None of them were thrown into the dryer because this is the one that I saw first, and I was like, I do not want this to happen to all of them. I honestly don't think it's the transfers themselves, because 5 other transfers were put on other garments and the bubbling did not happen to those other garments. So I'm assuming it has to do with this type of material, this canvas material. Maybe the transfer just didn't react well to this thin of a canvas, because that didn't happen to the other one. So when I saw this one, I was like, what's going on? I'm curious to know what happened, because it was washed with cold water. I did use a delicate cycle for all of them, so this one wasn't any different than the rest, but I'm assuming it has to do with the fabric. And I'm not gonna fault the rest of the transfers because one didn't work out, because 5 out of the 6 transfers worked out fine, so who knows what ended up happening here. So I'm still gonna continue to use the rest because I love the way the DTF looks. It's just super easy, and I like that I could print whatever it is that I want. So I'm definitely gonna keep playing around with these DTF transfers. So definitely check out Ninja Transfers if you're on the hunt for DTF, if you've never tried it, if you tried it before. It's just always nice to try new things. And besides DTF transfers, they also sell DTF stickers, which I'm curious about. I know the new wave is UV DTF transfers. I believe that's what it is. So it's like no more layering. People are just pushing layering to the bag, you know, they're trying to make their life easier. So I'm interested. That's one of the next things I want to try. So they have stickers, patches, a whole bunch of patches. They had leather ones, the regular ones that are threaded, all these other types, just a whole bunch of custom things. They also sell blanks. So if you're on the hunt for customized like things to put on your apparel, definitely check them out because they have options and options. And then for the DTF transfers, besides doing a customized option, they also have pre-made ones. So if you don't want to make your own, they have pre-made ones as well. So definitely check them out if you're curious. Shout out to Ninja Transfers for being the first DTF transfer that I've ever tried out. I think I'm hooked. I want to continue to play around with these DTFs, you know. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave me your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.